Talk to Joe on 1850-715-815.
And Joe at RT.ie and 51551 is our text number. Let me go to Dennis. Dennis, good afternoon. You want to point out the number of trade union reps that are on the false board.
Good afternoon, Joe. Yes, I'd first of all like to state very clearly that what Mary O'Rourke came out and said in today's news was complete smoke screening. And I think the nation, and I believe that Shane Ross has done this nation a great service by what he has done and what he has uncovered. And it's not down to nail bars and it's not down to haircuts, right? I mean, if you look very closely at the whole makeup of the directors of the board of FOSS, you will see that there is five, on the board of FOSS, there is 5 union representatives on there claiming expenses and directors' fees. And we're paying it, our nation is paying it. And this infuriated me this morning to see this on the paper.
Nearly half of the false board are trade unions.
It is all, like, when we look at it, let's be straight here. What have we got? We have FOSS, which is a training authority. They set syllabuses, they do training, they set out what is the roadmap for apprentices going forward, which I went through the ANCO system myself years ago. Now, the thing is, what in the name of God is all of these trade union officials sitting on these boards for? I don't see too many employers sitting on these boards directing what way a syllabus should be put, or how we want to train our apprentices so that they would be of great value going forward in the workplace. I don't see any of that. And I mean, as I said, Shane Ross has spent 3 years or 2 years of his life trying to expose this. And the expenses that we are talking about is that, first of all, you've got the board of FOSS. You get expenses for being on the board of FOSS. That's the first thing. On top of that is that for every one of the committees, Joe, that you sit on, you also now get your director's fee, and you also get your expenses, your hotel, your accommodation, and food allowances, and your mileage. Joe, this is a cash cow, and the national...
Well, I presume people on the board are doing the work they're doing work in their own time. It does take up time. I presume the board meetings at FOSS are, in fairness, it's a massive organisation would be dealing with enormously complex and detailed issues.
Okay, Joe,
you are giving up a lot of your time.
Okay, I see what you mean there, but if I was to tell you, Joe, that I see one particular person there, and I won't name names, I see one particular person there, he sits on 4 different seats within that board.
4 different subcommittees.
Yes,
right.
4 different subcommittees. Each one of them subcommittees, he receives from the state €13,000 a year.
How do you know? Is that true?
That is true, Joe, right? And plus, he is also a director of the board of FOSS, so he also receives director's remunerations for that. Now, Joe, I mean, this particular person is on a massive amount of money here. I mean, let's be honest here.
Which is legitimately famed. So
I'm not saying anything other than I'm not pointing aspersions at anybody, Joe. But I would say to you, we have a program on TV at the moment. It's an excellent program. It's called The Apprentice, right? And if you do wrong, or if you make a bad business move, you get sacked, Joe, right? That's exactly the program. You get sacked, and at the end of every night, somebody gets sacked. Now, we have, everybody on your show so far today has mentioned the word accountability, right? There is nobody being held accountable for this. Roddy Malloy is one person who decided to resign. Fair play to him for resigning. But the people that signed off these expenses, the people who said the haircut was a legitimate expense, the nail bar was a legitimate expense, and I would say, Joe, that's only 2 items. I would say there's many, many, many more. And I would think that these people must be held accountable for it. And we don't want to be back at a situation here where we have to have an investigation into it, and then we'll have a report, and then we'll have a report on that report, and another one just to tie in, just like what Mr. Lenihan said last night on the TV, where we end up with report upon report upon report. Okay. If you do wrong, Joe, on your show, and RTE don't like what you're doing, they'll sack you. It's as simple as that. They sack you, and there's nobody being held accountable. I mean, Joe, if I explain my own situation, where I am an electrical contractor, I employed at the height of my business 19 electricians. I let go all my electricians last January.
Okay.
Why did these guys lose their job is the question. They lost their job very simply. Because I was no longer competitive out there. I could no longer be competitive because I must pay my electricians €20.74 per hour, plus a pension contribution of €31.11 per week. That's what I must pay them, because my trade as an electrician, I am bound by a registered employment agreement, which is law, which is legal. I am bound by that agreement. I am competing against northern and electrical contractors from the UK, who are not bound by any agreement, Joe.
Now, we heard this thing from Dolores earlier on in the week.
Yes.
She was our first call on Monday, actually. She's the woman who broke down and cried when she was in A&E with her 90-year-old mother, and she read this Sunday Independent piece, and she broke down and cried, and she wanted to drive to the Dáil, and at 2 o'clock in the morning...
And shout up at the windows. I heard Dolores, and I have to say, my heart went out to her.
So this is... she then went... I explained to her when we were asked about her own life and what brought us, she said this deal that was done between some of the electrical contractors and the trade union,
correct.
She said it basically crippled the electrician industry in Ireland. Is that true?
And yes, it is crippling, Joe. It's not that it did. It is. And it's crippling them today. And Dolores also stated a fact.
But surely a union, like it's a TEEU, isn't it? Surely a union doesn't want fellas out of work or women out of work.
Well, that's very arguable, Joe, and I won't ask aspersions. But if you remember back to your conversation with Dolores, she mentioned to you one very, very clear point. She said her husband was a director of electrical contracting firm, and he was coming out with less money per week than his fourth-year apprentice. Isn't that correct?
Yeah.
Now, I mean, if you must see that €14 an hour is what an English firm or a northern firm will pay their qualified electricians. They're not bound by a registered employment agreement, Joe, and they don't have to pay into any pension scheme. So if you add up the figures there, very simply, is that I must pay €20.74 an hour to have an electrician working for me, and a northern contractor competing against me at the same project, he pays these men €14 an hour. You can buy a cheap flight, €5 or €10, €20 cheap flight, and you're way cheaper than I. And that means that the Irish electrician out there today, or the Irish electrical contractor, is being put out of business, and nobody seems to care. Nobody is standing up. And I formed, I'm one of the founder members of a group called the National Electrical Contractors of Ireland, NECI, who have decided 7 months ago to stand up and highlight these issues, and to highlight that there is massive unemployment being allowed to happen in our industry. Apprentices, young apprentices who are just trying to get on the ladder of life, they are not even being afforded the chance, because now they're gone too expensive for us to hire. The big contractors are hiring them, keeping them for 1 year and throwing them on the scrap heap, and then going into force and getting another batch of them.
And you're saying, even though you're the largest trade association in the country, you are now bound by this agreement which is signed between the TEEU and the
AECI and the ECA. The AECI is the Association of Electrical Contractors of Ireland. They have today 285 members.
Okay.
The ECA have approximately 52 members. And them two bodies...
And your body has how many?
In excess of 600 today, Joe.
So there's two other groups with a smaller membership. They effectively have locked everyone into this deal.
Correct, Joe. They have locked us into the deal, and it's very, very simple.
So the deal is €21 an hour plus a pension contribution.
Exactly.
And if you don't pay it, they don't work.
If you don't pay it, you're being criminalised, Joe. It's not that you don't work.
It's the law.
It's the law. You're being criminalised. We have lots and lots of electrical contractors heading to the Labour Court at the moment and heading to the local district court where they are being criminalised. And we had a case recently where a judge in a local district court made a statement, and his statement was, this man has done no wrong, he has broke no law, he has murdered, raped or shot nobody. All this man has done is been an employer and paid wages. I do not know why this man is in my court. That's what a local district judge said recently, Joe.
Okay.
Talk to Joe on 1850 715 815.